this video, I'm going to show you how you can actually use AI within your agency meetings to boost productivity within your agency. Before I go over the plan for this video and why you should actually use this within your agency meetings, my name is Leo. I'm the CEO and founder of Fluxomate, an operation agency that helps agency owners all over the world set up skill-proof systems. Integrating AI tools like the one I'm about to show you today within different processes of our partners' agencies is a very, very small part of what we do, but it makes a massive difference, guys. And this is also something that we use actively every single day at Fluxomate when it comes to sales calls, client meetings, team meetings, solely because of how powerful this tool actually is. At the end of this video, you'll have a good understanding of how you can actually use AI within your agency meetings. And I'm also going to be showing you two separate automations you can use to automate anything that happens after a client meeting and everything that happens after a sales call to keep your customer success managers, but also your sales guys in check. Let's get straight into it, guys. So the first thing you're probably wondering is, why should I actually use a tool like this within my agency? And guys, I'll be 100% honest. Most of AI stuff out there is not what it seems. And in honesty, it's a fluff. And obviously, we don't want that. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can actually use Firefly's AI to analyze your sales calls. But that's not the main thing. The main part I'm going to show you is how to actually have a good meeting system within your agents for the different types of meetings you have, like client meetings, sales calls, team calls, feedback calls, whatever it may be, and how you can actually leverage this meeting system using Firefly's AI or whatever other AI meeting app you want to use to really boost the efficiency for the different meetings that happen in your agency. Most agencies I've encountered, mine including, we deal with a lot of meetings between sales calls, team calls, client calls, feedback calls, follow-up calls. There's a lot of different meetings we're having on a day-to-day basis. So it's very important to have a meeting system to track all of these meetings and have a clear standard operating procedure with what happens every single meeting. Because the reality is, this is very important if you have a large team. You can have the greatest SOP documentation. However, you probably know better than me. It's very hard to get your team to do this on a consistent basis. So that's where automation comes in, and using these different AI tools to automate things such as sharing a meeting with the clients, updating CRM after sales calls, sending feedback to your different closers, or even creating action items for different client calls. And I'm going to be showing you how to do all of that using this tool in this video, guys. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. The plan for this video is simple. The first thing I'm going to do is show you how to actually set up Fireflies. Now, in all honesty, it doesn't really matter which AI meeting software you use. I don't have any affiliate links. I'm not sponsored for this video, anything like that. I just personally like Fireflies. I think Phantom is another good one. And there's one more which I forgot the name of. I might put it in the description if I find it. But honestly, guys, these are all fairly similar. They do the same thing basically. So most of them are free trials. As always, I suggest signing up to whichever one you want to try out and see which one you prefer. But for this video, we are going to be using Fireflies. Like I said, no affiliates link or anything. Choose whichever one you want. After you've actually managed to set up, I'm going to show you how to actually integrate this within your different meetings. Fireflies are some cool features that actually do that. And then we can actually move on to the interesting stuff, guys. I'm going to show you two different automations. The first one is going to be used in the setting of your client meetings. And it's all it's going to do is send summaries to clients after each meeting through email, and then create action items for your team to actually follow up on. This is extremely important, guys. I can't tell you how many times I've worked with marketing agencies myself back in the day when I was doing e-commerce, and they say a lot of things in meetings and then they always seem to forget. So having something like this for your customer success manager just takes that pressure off them, and also make sure they remember all the things that they say within that 1 hour or 45-minute meeting that you're having. Once that's done, we're going to set up another automation within Zapier, and this one's going to take place within your sales meetings. And all it's going to do is, after a sales call, it's going to analyze the calls and find any feedback they can help you with, share the actual call with a sales leader, and force the closer to actually update the pipeline. Now, guys, I don't have to tell you this. It's a pain to actually get closers to update their CRM after the sales calls on a consistent basis. So this automation forces them to do that, but also shares any feedback with the closer, as well as sharing that call with the sales team leader, so you can review it and spot any errors and give any feedback to the closer to help increase your close rates. That's the plan for this video, guys. I'm super excited to actually record this, so let's get straight into it. Actually, guys, one more thing I need to cover is this tool stack. Now, there's four main tools we're going to be using. The first is automation tool. I've got two here, which are probably the most popular within this industry, Zapier and Make. Honestly, guys, it doesn't matter whether you're using Zapier or Make for this video. At the end of the day, they're both no-code automation tools, and they do fairly similar things. If you want my personal recommendation, I would suggest signing up to both and see which one you prefer. They both have 14-day free trials, so you might as well make the most of it. Zapier, in my opinion, is a bit more beginner friendly, however, is a bit more on the expensive side. Make, on the other hand, is a bit harder to learn. I say it has a larger learning curve, but you probably can do a bit more with Make than you can do with Zapier. But once again, guys, it's up to your preferences. I would suggest sign up to both and find a free trial. But for this example, we are going to be using Zapier. The next thing we need is an AI meeting tool. Now, like I said, we're going to be using Firefly for this, but most of them do the exact same thing. So if you want to use a different tool like Phantom, for example, you can copy the exact same process I'm going to show you here for whatever the AI tool you're going to use. The key thing you want to check is that they have an API, and I want to show you how to actually use that in a second. The third thing we need is an Air database tool. And for this example, we are going to be using Airtable. Now, if I pull this up, you'll be able to see I've built a very, very simple database that I'm going to be using in this video with a couple of examples. And all we're tracking here is the meeting name, the meeting type, and if it's a sales call, whether it's qualified, no-show, closed, and just the different attendees from the meeting, the duration and transcript URL. This is a very, very simple database. And once again, guys, it doesn't matter if you're using Airtable, Notion, Smart Suite, even Google Sheets. You just need somewhere to actually store these calls. And the last thing we need is a communication tool. Now, for this example, I'm going to use Slack. I love Slack. We use it every single day within our agents, and most agency owners do as well. So it works out in our favor. And that's what we're going to be using today. So, guys, I've talked enough. I've shown you why you actually need to set this up, the plan for this video, and the different tools you need to actually get started. Let's actually hop in Fireflies, create an account, and get started with this. All right, guys. So within Fireflies.ai, all we're going to do is head over to get started for free. Like I said, most of these places have a free trial. So I'm going to be testing this alongside you guys. So all you're going to want to do is go ahead and sign up. Now, for this example, I'm going to use Selena's account, which is our customer success manager. It's very, very simple, guys. The same way you sign up to anything. All right, guys. So as you can see, we've gone ahead and actually created that Fireflies account. Last thing we actually did for this video was sign up to Fireflies. Now, if you go to meetings, you can see I've already gone ahead and tested 2 meetings as part of my previous tutorial. One of them is a client meeting. One of them is a sales meeting. We're going to get back to that in a second. But in terms of Fireflies, they have a bunch of different plans available. They have the free plan, the pro plan, and the business plan. For this example, I'm just going to go ahead and use the free plan just to make it as accessible as I can for you guys. The pro plan and the business plan are really good because you get a lot more storage time, and also you get a bit more features, which I'll show you in a second. But in terms of what you need, you can easily get away with using a free plan. The only limitation of the free plan is that it only has 800 minutes of storage, so that can be a bit disadvantageous, especially if you're having a lot of different meetings within your agency. Apart from that, guys, the platform is fairly simple to use. You have home here with all your different meetings, and if you want a summary of all your different meetings, you could go to my meetings, and you can filter between all meetings just shared with me, stuff like that, guys. It is very simple, honestly. Interface is not complicated at all. But now that we've gone ahead and actually created that Fireflies account, I want to go over the settings to figure out how we're actually going to get Fireflies to join the different meetings. So if you go over the settings, when you first sign up, it automatically links your Google Meet account, or your Google Calendar account, I should say, to the Fireflies account. So as you can see right now, it's already set to auto join all calendar events. You can also change this for different preferences. So all meetings with web conference link, only meetings that I own, only meetings with Fluxomate participants, and only meetings with non-Fluxomate participants. Different filters. I usually leave it on all meetings with web conference link. So any meeting on your calendar basically is going to come up. That's one way to do it. The second way to actually get the Fireflies to join your meeting, if you go back to home, we go over here, you see this little button, add to live meeting. Now this, you can use it if it doesn't actually end up joining your meeting. All you have to do is just name your meeting. So for example, sales meeting George, and then all you want to do is enter that meeting link, which is usually that invite link you can get from Google Meet or Zoom straight here, and just start capturing. It'll take about a minute or two to actually join, and then it'll start recording your meetings. Those are the 2 main ways to actually get Fireflies in your meetings. Once again, guys, fairly simple. You can see the way it's kind of seamless, and it will just integrate itself within different meetings in your agency. So guys, now that we've gone ahead and set up Fireflies and I've actually shown you how to use Fireflies in your meetings, let's head over to the automation side of things and begin building things out. So like I mentioned earlier, there's 2 different automations I'm going to want to build out. And that is a bit of a clickbait, to be honest, because it is one automation, but 2 separate paths. But because the 2 paths are its own individual automations, I want to classify them as 2 different automations and do them one at a time. The trigger for both of these automations is going to be very simple. It's going to be a new transcript coming in, which basically means the end of an actual meeting. Once we get that, we're going to filter it through whether it's a client meeting or a sales call using the name of the actual call, which I'll get more in a second. And for the first automation, we're going to be building a client automation. Here, all we're going to want to do is update that meeting database I showed you in Airtable in the previous step. We're going to send a summary message to the client. Now, this is going to be in the form of an email, but you can do it through Slack, SMS, wherever you want. And then we're going to create some action items for our own team within Slack or your task management system based on what's actually happened within that meeting. In terms of the sales side of things, I'm going to get through that as soon as we finish the client meeting. But let's head over to Zapier and actually start building this automation out, guys. All right, guys. So I've gone ahead and loaded up Zapier. And like I said, the trigger for this is going to be a new meeting being completed. And all this is, if you go over to triggers and we go to Fireflies, open this up a bit wider, you can see the event will be a new meeting. And if I open this up, it explains very clearly. It says it triggers when a new meeting transcript is created, which once again just means the meeting is finished. Now, for account, it's very, very easy to connect. It's not a sign-in, it's more of connecting your API key. And to find that, guys, all you have to do is head over back to Firefly, scroll all the way down to settings. And if I move myself out of the way so you can actually see, and we go down to developer settings, you can see that API key right here. Once again, don't bother using it because I'm just going to reset as soon as the video is finished. But you want to copy that. And then when you're actually prompted to sign up, you're going to have to enter your API key and just the email associated with that account. It's really, really simple, guys. If you need any help with that, make sure to check the documentation, or you can also ask me any questions in the comments below. Once you've gone ahead and actually connected that account, we will move on to the trigger. There's a bunch of different options you can actually configure. For this, I'm just going to leave it as the default version. I'm going to press continue. And I'm going to go ahead and actually find new records. Now, you can see I'll have 3 different meetings here. I'll have the default meeting, which is basically just the Fireflies meeting. I'll have the client meeting, and I'll have the sales meeting, which I recorded earlier. For this example, I'm just going to go with a client meeting because that's the actual automation we're building out. So let's go ahead and continue with that record. Guys, because this is an automation where I'm going to split it between 2 different paths, the next thing I want to do is just create a path. So for this, I'm going to use the built-in tools that Zapier has to actually split automation between 2 different things. Now, in order to actually set this up, we need to set up filters for each path. This basically means that if it meets certain conditions, it will go down one path, and if it meets other conditions, it will go down one path. The filter for this is going to be the name of the actual meeting. Now, guys, when you're scheduling your meeting using Calendly or any other booking software similar to that, it will automatically have the type of the meeting within the title when you actually join it. So, for example, if you schedule a demonstration call with us, within the title of the meeting, it will have demonstration call and then your name. That is what is actually going to allow us to filter it through depending on the different types of meetings. And also, if you're getting it to join manually using the second method I showed you on Fireflies, all you have to do is name the meeting something before you actually join it. For example, if it's a client meeting, name it client meeting, and it will automatically go down this path. In order to actually set this up, we're going to put only continue if, and then we're going to put the title, and then contains client. That's pretty much it. So if you go ahead and test this and continue, this automation should go through this path because once again, the client exists within that title. Now, obviously, guys, there's a bunch of different ways you can actually do this. And if you watch until we actually move on to the sales side of things, you'll be able to see how we actually do this exact same thing, but instead of client, it's sales. All right, guys, so now that we set up a path rules, it's time to move on to the actual automation, which is updating the meeting database, sending a summary message, and then creating those action tasks. The first thing we want to do is update this meeting database within Airtable. Now, once again, guys, it really doesn't matter if you're using Airtable or whatever database you're using, you can follow this exact same process. So if I head over back to Zapier and we go to action, this time we're going to look for Airtable. And the event for this is going to be create a record. Now, guys, within a meeting system, the way I would usually do it is whenever someone first books a call, I'll create a record. And then when a transcript comes in, I'll just simply update it. But just to keep this video as simple as possible, we're just going to go ahead and create a new record for every new transcript rather than the booking side of things. So when I press continue, obviously connect your Airtable account. Then for the action, you want to choose your base, which for this example is the YouTube meeting database. And the table is going to be YouTube. Cool. Now there's a couple of fields we want to fill in. The first thing is meeting name, and for that, I'm just going to get that straight from Fireflies from the title. So client meeting. The date I could format from Zapier, but however, Fireflies already does it for me. Now, if you enter the pre-date, it will not work because the formatting isn't the way Airtable wants it. So just enter this date, but don't worry, it will automatically format it for you on Airtable. Now for meeting type, we know that every single call that goes down this path is going to be a client call. So I can simply put client call. In terms of qualified, no show, and closed, that's something we're going to be touching on the sales side of things. So I'm just going to leave that blank for now. And for attendees, once again, we can get that straight from Airtable by scrolling all the way down to attendees, just like that. For the duration, if you go over to Fireflies and we scroll all the way down, I believe it's there. So we'll leave it 15 minutes. I believe it was 4 minutes, but whatever, doesn't matter. And the important part is the transcript URL, which we can get once again straight from Fireflies by just copy and pasting it there. Perfect, guys. So that's all the data I actually want to update within my meeting database. Now I'm just going to press continue and actually test this and head over to Airtable to make sure everything is being synced properly. As you can see, guys, within Airtable, we have that client meeting. And if we scroll all the way there, we can see all that information being automatically synced in. We have the date and the time. We have whether it's a client call or a sales call. We have the attendees, you have the duration, and most importantly, with the transcript URL. So if you open up, you can see this is a public URL. You can see all the different transcript, the overview of the meeting, the performance notes, clarification. There's so much data we can actually deal with here. And this is just on a free plan, guys. So super, super powerful. All right, guys. So now that we've gone ahead and actually updated our meeting database, the next thing I want to do is send that transcript URL and a quick summary to the client. Now, for this, I'm going to be using Gmail. I can use a SMS, Slack message, doesn't really matter. But just keep it very, very simple. I'm going to use Gmail. So I'm going to add another step right here. And for this, I'm going to search for Gmail. Now, guys, if you didn't want to do it as Slack, it'll be a bit more complicated because you'd have to first find that Slack channel ID within our own client database and then send a message to that specific client ID. It definitely is possible. And if you're doing this properly and you're using Slack for your client communication, then I do recommend using Slack rather than email. But for now, we're going to use Gmail. I'm going to scroll the way down to actually send email. You're obviously going to connect your account. Now within action, what you're going to do is head over to open this up and send this to the attendee's name. Now, in this scenario, I only had one attendee within a meeting because I was doing a test run. However, when you're doing this, you see that all of the attendees will actually come up here. So for example, let's say you have 3 people within this email. There'll be 3 different emails here. Now, this isn't a bad thing because all it means is you're going to send 3 different emails rather than one. If you did want to filter it out so it only sends it to the guest, you'd add another step simply here and you go to format, and there's a bunch of different things you can do. Zapier makes it quite easy. They actually have an AI that can format it for you. But all you want to do is remove that host email from the attendees so it only sends it to the guests. But for now, we're just going to leave this. I'm going to put send email to all the attendees in general. And from name, I'm just going to format this. It's just going to be Leo Fluxomate. I guess I should put Selena, but it's all right. Leo Fluxomate. And the subject's going to be client meeting summary, I guess. And now, there's a bunch of different things you can do here, guys. As you can see, if I open this up, there's really a ton of different summaries from the overview. If you scroll all the way down, keywords, a short summary, the gist, the bullet gist, action items. There's a lot you can actually do here, guys. But for this, I'm just going to include the meeting URL, the transcript URL, sorry, which again, I get straight from Fireflies right here. And the next thing I want to include is one of the quick summaries. So if I go down here, I'm just going to include, let's say, the short summary. Happy with that. I'm happy with that. Or this one, just because I add some emojis. Very, very short summary, guys. And I'm just going to leave it. Obviously, I'll add a signature just to format it and make it look a bit nicer. I'm going to head and continue and actually send that email. Obviously, guys, if you're doing this properly for your clients, I'd suggest adding a bit more copy, making it a bit nicer. But I'm here to show you the automation. I'm more copywriting expert. So if you go back now to Selena's account, you can see she has got in that email and it's got a transcript URL. And there's always a very, very quick summary when the meeting actually happened. Obviously, guys, you weren't actually there for the meeting. This is basically what I talked about. I was just talking to myself, pretending to talking to a client within the meeting. And these are the main things I actually talked about. Cool. So we've gone ahead and done 2 of the main things for the automation, which was updating the meeting database and sending that summary message to the client. The last thing we're going to do is actually create action tasks for our customer success manager. Now, this is very, very important. Like I said, I've dealt with a lot of marketing agencies, and it's very, very easy to forget the things you say on a client call. I'm not talking about the big tasks like next steps and moving on to the project. I'm talking about the very, very small things. For example, a lot of my clients, we have double discussions and I say, oh, I'm going to send you this video. And without this, I would always forget to send the videos because it's such a minor comment, but it just shows that extra level of appreciation for the client. So that's exactly what I'm going to do here. Even within the free plan, Fireflies is kind enough to actually get those action items for you. Now, I believe they are better on the paying plan, but still, guys, we can still use what we have here. Now, for this, I'm going to send a quick message on Slack. Now, honestly, guys, if you're doing this properly, I'd recommend creating tasks for each one individually. But a Slack message do fine because we're just going to assume they're very, very small tasks. And for this, we're just going to scroll all the way down to send channel message. I'm going to be sending a message to a team channel. Let's continue. And if a channel actually want to use testing, just for this example, but obviously, if you're doing this properly, you'd have a channel with your customer success managers to make it very easy. And for this, I'm going to put new client meeting action notes. Please complete ASAP. And like I said, guys, Firefly is kind to actually summarize with action notes straight away. So if we scroll all the way down until we see we have the bullet gist, I'm going to action items. You can see all those 3 different tasks. So the first one's complete the automation form that we send via email, send feedback on the control system to developers, and send automation form to clients. It's also kind enough to actually include those timestamps. So if you ever need to reference the recordings, see more information, you can do that. So for this, I'm also going to include the transcript URL right there, which we can find once again from Fireflies, just like that. Cool, guys. Now we're going to send this as a bot. I'm going to put meeting bot, I guess. And for the bot icon, I'm going to put robot. Let's go. Simple as that, guys. Press continue. And if we test this and over to Slack, we should see that as action items come in. So let's go ahead and test this. I'm going to open up Slack. You can see, guys, within Slack, we have that new meeting action notes. Please complete as soon as possible with the 3 different things that a customer success manager actually needs to complete, as well as the transcript URL. So if they need to have more context behind these tasks, they can just open it up, go to that specific timestamp, and get a really clear understanding of what happened with that meeting, even if it's 5 days in the future. Very, very cool. And let's say you didn't want to do this now, you wanted to do it, like I said, 5 days in the future, you can easily set a reminder for yourself using Slack. For this, you can go with more actions, and you put remind me about this, and you can see you have a bunch of different reminders, and also set up custom reminders at custom dates. If you can't tell, guys, I love Slack. I think there's so much you can do with it, especially when you get around to the app side of things, which I'm still recording a video on because I think is a really, really valuable tool. All right, guys, so we've gone ahead and created that first automation for the client side of things. Now it's time we actually hop onto the sales side of things, create a second automation for all the different sales calls. Now, this automation is going to take a fairly similar approach at the start. Firstly, it's going to trigger whenever a new meeting comes in, and then we're going to filter it only for sales call. First step is going to be similar to the other automation where we're going to update that meeting database so we can store the different values. Then we're actually going to analyze the transcript for feedback using AI. We're going to send a message to the team leader on Slack with that transcript URL, and also send a message to the closer to actually recap that meeting. One thing I will mention is that these 2 automations, they're great examples of automations, yes, but honestly, they're really just a starting point. You can't 100% copy this and start integrating it with your agency straight away. But in all honesty, guys, this is really beginner stuff. And there's so much you can actually expand on when you start using these different automations within your meeting system. But for now, let's go ahead and focus on this automation. So let's head over back to Zapier and actually create this. So like I said, guys, I did clickbait you a bit because this is all one automation, but it's 2 different paths. So let's go ahead and set up the second path. First things first, we want to do the exact same thing we did previously for the path rules. Now, this time, I'm only going to allow this for sales calls. So in order to make that happen, I'm going to put a filter, title, contains, and then the word sales, because all of my sales calls will contain the word sales in the title. Now, if you call them demonstration calls like I do, for example, all you'd have to do is change this from sales to demonstration. Now, if we test this, you'll see it will not work because previous record you're using is a client meeting. However, if you go all the way back right here, and instead of using that client meeting as an example, so use that sales meeting right here, and continue with selected record, we go back to this path step right here. Now, if we test this again, you can see this will actually go ahead because the title contains the word sales. That's an example of the filter live in action, guys. And as you can see, it kind of goes down those 2 different paths. One for the client side of things and one for the sales side of things. And once you set up a really, really good meeting system, you have about 5 different paths for all the different types of meetings that you have within your agency. So guys, let's go ahead and create an action. For this, I'm going to be a bit lazy. I'm just going to go ahead and copy this, paste to replace. The only thing we're going to have to change here, guys, is meeting type. And for this is going to be a sales call rather than a client call. But the rest of the automation will stay the same because this 3 sections here, we're going to get a closer to actually complete at the end of the sales call. Perfect. So let's go ahead and test this just for safe measure to make sure everything is working properly. Let's go ahead and create that table. And if we go to Airtable, we can see that new sales meeting with George has come in with the transcript URL, the timing, the attendees, sales call, and the actual time, which is perfect for us, guys. Now we get to the interesting part, which is actually analyze that transcript for feedback. Now, Fireflies already does a really good job with this, and you could get away with just using Fireflies. But for this example, I'm going to spice it up a bit more. I'm going to be using ChatGPT to get some feedback specifically related to sales. For this, I'm just going to create another step. This time it's going to be within ChatGPT. And then for event, I'm going to put conversation. Now, obviously, like I say, every single video, if you're doing this properly, you have to use conversation with the system, guys. The responses you get are 100 times better, especially on a consistent basis, what you need in terms of automation. But I'm going to keep it simple. I don't want to create a whole new system for another video. So I'm just going to do conversation with ChatGPT. But guys, I do have a whole nother video going over how to actually connect assistants to Zapier specifically and make.com. So if you want to check those out, they're available there for you guys. And for you message, I'm going to keep it very, very simple. Now, guys, if you use that transcript URL or even the PDF, it won't be able to actually read it. There is a way to get around it, but once again, it is a bit complicated. So for this, I'm just going to use Firefly's summaries by going down here, and I'm going to add a bunch of different summaries. So first thing, I'm going to add the overview of the meeting. I'm also going to add, if you scroll all the way down to the meeting gist, I'll leave it as that. On the premium plan, there is a lot more information you can actually leverage and use. I want to keep this example simple, so I'm going to press continue. I'm going to test this step, and we should get some sort of summary or feedback from on the sales side of things. Let's go over and try this. Scroll all the way down here. So you can see it's actually created some good feedback. You can format this and refine the prompt as much as you want, but for now, we're going to leave it as this. I'm going to press another step, and all we're going to do now is send that Slack message to the team leader with the transcript URL, so you can just go ahead and check the recording if necessary. So for this, for event, I'm going to go all the way down to send a rec message because I want to message that team leader. Now, if you have a Slack channel with all your sales call recordings, you can use that instead. But for now, we're just going to send a Slack message to the team leader, which in this example is going to be me. So to username, I'm just going to put Leo. That should come up, Leo Fluxomate right there. Perfect. For the message, I'm going to put new sales call recording, and can include the actual audio file, but I prefer to include a transcript URL because within that transcript URL, the audio file is already at the bottom. So it's nice to have everything in one place, and you can see all the different summaries. I'm going to leave this as a bot for now, but you can do the exact same thing I did in the previous Slack automation. I'm going to press continue and actually test this out. And if we go over back to Slack, we can see we have that message right there with a new sales call recording. And we can actually open this up, guys, and it will take us straight to that recording of the sales call, which is what we want right there. That's got the transcript and all the different summaries that we have here, which was very good, guys. I'm happy with this. Now we've gone ahead and analyzed the transcript for feedback, send a Slack message to the team leader. The last thing we want to do is actually send a message to the closer with that recap and summary, so you can actually use those steps to actually improve. For this, guys, I'm not going to be sending a direct message. Instead, I'm going to be sending a channel message within a closer channel. So for this, we're going to search for Slack again, similar to what we did in the previous automation. And for event, I'm going to scroll all the way down to send channel message. Obviously, for this, you'd use the channel that you have all your closers in. But for this example, I'm just going to use my testing channel. And the message tag is going to be simple. I'm going to put new summary. If you open up Fireflies and we scroll all the way down, we can see something interesting, which is the host. This will actually allow us to decipher and send a message to specifically the closer that was on that call. So we're just going to include the email right there. You could also leverage this and use it to firstly find the specific Slack username for that email. But for now, I'm just going to send a message within that Slack channel for the closers. And the next thing I want to do is include that transcript URL so you can actually reference it or the feedback that ChatGPT gives it. Once again, we get that straight from Fireflies. And I'm going to include that summary that we generated using AI, which is Conversation Assistant. Scroll all the way down to reply. Perfect. Now for this, I'm going to set, just to give you guys an example, I'm going to name this the sales feedback bot. Send as a bot, yes. The bot icon is going to be money. Let's go back. I'm put Tada actually, which is just a confetti. And I'm not going to include a link to the Zap. Perfect. Now I'm going to continue and actually test this. And if you go back to the testing channel, we should see that summary as well as the transcript URL link, which as you can see, it's gone ahead and done that for us. Perfect. So we have the sales feedback for Selena, which is the closer on that specific sales call. Now, guys, one thing I did forget to actually do within this message is force our closers to actually update that Airtable with information about the call. So let's go back to Zapier and actually edit this message. Now, if you remember, within our Airtable database, we had 3 sections. We had qualified, no-show, and closed. We want our actual closer to update that. So in order to do this, we want to send a quick message, and we'll put this in bold. Please update rem or table, whatever. And within that link, I'm just going to send them a link of the actual Airtable database so they can go in and actually update it. Guys, this is the URL for a specific table, and we want to change this last bit right here and just include that ID from the actual database we created earlier. So now every single time, this will be a direct link to that specific block, just like this. So the closer can simply just tick these boxes, whether they're qualified, whether they close them, just to keep your CRM updated. Apologies for actually forgetting that, guys. It's very, very important. So for this, I'm just going to press continue. I'm going to test this again just to make sure everything is the way it should be. And when we open this up, we can see we have that please update CRM with all that guidance from ChatGPT. And if we open this link, it should take us to that specific block that we created earlier, which in this example is sales meeting George, which is perfect. And it's literally just as easy for the closer to update these boxes. Guys, if we were using Slack apps, we could also integrate those boxes within that Slack app immediately. Probably a bit easier to do on Make, and just allows your closers to do all of that directly on Slack. But doesn't matter. They have a link so they can get straight to it, so it's fairly similar. And guys, that's pretty much it. So we've gone ahead and created two different automations now, one for the client side of things and one for the sales side of things. Client automation, it automatically updates the meeting database, sends a summary message to the client whenever that call is finished, and create action tasks for the actual client manager. Within Slack, you could have used this within a task manager. It's the same exact thing. And for the sales side of things, this is filters for all these sales meetings. And once again, we updated our meeting database. We analyze that transcript for feedback using AI. We send a Slack message to the team leader so he can actually see all those messages and review any sales calls as necessary. And we send a message to the closer, forcing him to actually update that CRM at the end of each call, and also providing some feedback on how you can improve for future calls using the results from that previous step where we actually analyze the transcript for feedback. And that's pretty much it, guys. You now have a good understanding of how you can actually use AI in your meetings. Like I said, firstly, it doesn't matter what different tools you're using. Use the exact same with Fireflies, Phantom, whatever, and the exact same thing for the database. You don't have to be constricted to these specific tools I use today. You can easily copy what I showed you today in whatever tools you want to use. The second thing I want to mention is that, guys, this is really just the start of a meeting system. There's a ton of different more steps you can add that I purposely skipped today just to make this video as beginner friendly as I possibly could. So if you have any questions or you want to see a bit more about different ways you can actually leverage this when it's more developed, you can drop a comment below and I'll make sure to get another meeting system video recorded for you guys showing you how to properly do this for your agency. That's it from me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I can guarantee there's no one else on YouTube dropping this much value on a consistent basis. This is actually a video I've been delaying for a long time because on this channel, I want to stay very careful of reviewing specific AI software or showing you how to use specific AI software. But honestly, guys, Fireflies and just meeting AIs in general are a very good addition to your agency. And in my opinion, I don't think they're fluff like most of AI software out there. So I would recommend trying it out. Most of them have free trials, so pick the best one that you find fits your needs the most. If you want access to the automation transcripts that I actually use in this video and this mind map right here, you can check out the first link in the description for a free blueprint. It's something we do in every single video now. It's just a digital product. It's 100% free and it includes all the resources from the relevant video. You'll see that going forward for more different videos. Apart from that, guys, it's been a pleasure actually recording this video. Please let me know if you have any questions. And if you want to see a more developed version of this in a really good meeting system integrated within an internal tool as well, leave a comment below and I can record a much longer breakdown for you guys. Thank you for watching and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.